recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games.
Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at ZEDGamesAU.
This is Z Games. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me tonight is my good friend and sometimes lover, Braden.
Oh, the lover is definite. Yeah, that happens all the time.
Not, yeah. We don't have to hit full details there. Yes. Hopefully Caroline will be joining us later, but if she doesn't make it, that's okay. We're going to have a lot of fun on our own. Yes. Hi, Braden. What are you into?
Games.
Cool.
And I'm on Z Games, which means we're going to talk about games.
That's I mean, very correct and succinct. Give us a. I didn't warn you at all. Give us a quick Braden rundown.
I am quite young. I am
comparatively.
Yeah, comparatively. Honestly, no. I do like games. I do. You didn't warn me for this. I like hanging out with my friends.
Yeah,
that's always nice. And
you've come to talk to us tonight about a very specific game, which we will get to later.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to do a little bit of the news. News! I'm getting there. Okay, the week of whatever, sometime in February at this point, we have some exciting news. MultiVersus. That smashed competitor.
Yeah, that game.
That came out, went down, came back again, is now shutting down for good.
Oh, really?
Yes, they have put an announcement out that they are going to run their season 5 of their live Smash Bros-like game. That's going to start running on February 4th through to May 30th, at which point, once they have exhausted all the content that they've promised there, the game will go permanently offline for people who already own it.
Oh, damn.
And if you do not own it, it will be no longer purchasable.
Oh, wow.
It cannot be downloaded.
So it can't be even used like offline or anything?
It can be used offline. You just can't get a license for it after that date.
Yep.
Which I did find a little bit weird because they do say like you have to get the last patch to make it an offline game.
Right.
So if they've got an offline game, why don't you sell it as an offline game?
That's very weird.
I guess maybe it's a free download. I don't even look into it.
Or they're going to release another one sometime soon. I don't know.
I mean, they already tried twice with the same game.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, so you can no longer purchase in-game currency. That's all been turned off as of this notice. So yeah, MultiVersus, it's gone away. This was the Warner Brothers licensed. Then throw in all their characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that didn't really work out for them.
Well, it did. When it was first a thing, it was really big.
It was. I do remember it being pretty popular, but it did die off pretty
I mean, that's the thing with live service. Keeping that high trajectory for a long time. People only have so much time.
It's hard.
If you're not Nintendo.
Or Fortnite.
How do you... Yeah, well, exactly. Okay, in news of companies going down a little bit, PlatinumGames, which just last week announced that they are doing a new Ninja Gaiden, official 4, and they did Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, sneak release. Unfortunately, though, most of the high-end talent at that studio has officially left now.
Oh, no.
So Hideki Kamiya. God, I can't talk today. But also the director of Bayonetta Origins, Bayonetta 3, the director of Metal Gear Rising, the director of Anarchy Reigns, I think Astral Chain dude, he did one of those as well.
Wow.
So 5 of the and they've all sort of split off, and some of them have gone to that new studio.
I was going to ask.
Kamiya's done, which is...
Yeah, have they got other jobs lined up?
Well, Kamiya's making a new Akami, which...
Gotcha.
I didn't like the trailer, but I think the trailer was also just like some weird previs. It didn't look like it was a game in production yet. But maybe I'm wrong. I'll find out. In super specific niche news, which makes me... So Warframe, one of my favorite games that I'll never get to play.
And it's been going on for a long time.
They have done the thing that everyone should do, and they've got their wiki, and they've taken it off Fangamer, and they've moved it to their own host.
Oh, okay.
Because Fangamer is horrible and horrendous.
Yep.
And hopefully more developers follow suit because
Yes.
wikis are good and important.
Oh, yeah.
I want my old days of game facts back. But just give me a notepad, just a text file. That's all I want. I've got Control F.
Make everything a text file.
Yeah.
Just everything.
Also, Steam has added a feature with early access games that warns people how long since the last update.
I have seen this. Yes. There was an early access game I saw recently. It was said, like, this hasn't had an update in, like, 18 months. It may not be continuing.
Which is a good thing, because not
It is.
everyone's going to go down, because early access is a nebulous thing.
Yes.
There's no rules on what can and cannot be. I mean, even we had a game, 2 weeks ago or so, where it's not going to keep being developed for a while because the lead dev is going to jail.
Oh, dear.
And all, I mean, honestly, probably sometimes someone's died or something.
Yeah.
It's like, it's certainly not updating anymore.
No, that would make sense.
So that's just a smart feature to have there while we try to negotiate what that is. Finally, some game releases, and it is a very light week. It was almost only one on the list, but then I found out that one of my favorite games of last year, Moons of Darsalon, which is the best game from the 90s, which was developed in the 2020s, is getting a console release, and it's coming to everything. It's made by it's a South American DJ or so is behind it. Oh, wow. It's like a Lemmings side-scrolling shooter world. It is.
Wow.
As I said, if it came out in the 90s, it would be a huge cult
I
hit.
can imagine.
Now it's just like some very archaic, strange thing, and I loved it.
Oh, wow.
But then the big heavy hitter, which some people are already playing because they paid extra to get into it a week early, Sid Meier's Civilization 7 comes out on February 12th.
It's that close, eh?
Yep. Well, I mean, everyone's already playing it
I guess,
because they're all suckers that pay extra money. I'm not going to do that. And then that brings us to the end of news. I'm not going to do the sting again.
Oh.
We don't need the sting.
Okay.
I need to make a shorter sting. Now, our good friend Braden here is going to give us a little bit of a review. So let's hit it. Review. I got wheels for us. Woo! I got wheels for legs. And I am a little meat boy. Hey. Oh, yeah. Hello. So what are we talking about tonight, Brad?
We are talking about a little game called Get to Work. Get to Work is a metaphor for climbing the corporate ladder with just one teeny tiny little detail. You're on all fours with rollerblades strapped to your limbs. You're also bald. Of course, both of those affect the gameplay equally.
Just wait, the baldness affects the gameplay.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you just look at him and you're already going to just act differently.
I
mean,
there's we were playing some songs for the music for the last few weeks, and there is the lyric. It's like I'm on all fours, like a 4-wheel drive or something.
Yep.
And I hadn't seen the game before I listened to that, and then I just laughed so hard. Anyway,
it is a single-player 3D narrated platformer developed by Ister Inc., also known for Atrio: The Dark Wild, a game which Paul has had his eye on for a little while.
Yeah.
With design input and the marketing of the game coming from Twitch streamer Atrioc. That actually has some really cool implications Paul just touched on, but I'll get to a little bit later. The objective is to speed through ramps, jumps, and avoid obstacles on your way to pursue the almighty title of CEO. Don't we all want that, especially right now in the current socioeconomic climate? You blade your way up the corporate ranks, and along the way you're joined by a narrator, voiced by Connor Colquhoun, better known as Sea-Dog VA, who guides and berates you along the way. The narrator's style in this game is sort of like a cross between Getting Over It in the Stanley Parable. So there are times there'll be like funny quips and jokes, but of course there'll also be jabs about how bad you are. The map is structured sort of like a vertical climb. So like you're climbing the ranks, obviously ties into the theme of the game, but it also has some large horizontal areas as well. So it sort of breaks away from constantly climbing and feeling a little bit, what's the word?
Vertigo?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Or just like you're risking everything for the fall?
Yeah, and it just breaks up the gameplay so that you're not just doing the same thing over and over and over again, which is really nice. It prevents it from getting stale. The game tests your ability to estimate momentum quite a lot. You really have to understand and think in real time what speed you're going to come at a ramp from and what angle you've sort of got to enter it and leave it, which is really challenging, but in a fun way. And a lot of the jumps are like that, so you can't really just like speed all the way through without really thinking about it. You do have to put some effort in, which I like, which is nice. Now, as part of that, if you, for some reason, like we all will eventually, undershoot a jump, there's actually a really cool ledge grabbing mechanic. So you can actually grab onto the side of like a ledge. Say you're coming off a ramp, you're going onto another ramp, but you just miss it. You can grab onto the end of the ramp and you're in a ragdoll state. So you can actually fling back and forth with controller or WS clicking on keyboard, and you can make your way back up on top of the
I'm
ramp.
imagining like old Worms ninja rope where you're just like,
it's quite funny. And you can also, if you time it wrong, get some pretty devastating falls in it from that. But speaking of recovery, there's a bunch of recovery areas and extra sort of sub-routes for harder parts of the game, which is always nice. Not in every part. I definitely fell at some areas which did not have any recovery, and that was a bit maddening. But yeah, there's also a lot of collectibles in the game. I think there's about 15. They're in the form of podcasts, sort of satirizing like a bit of a parody of like the grind set influencer sort of culture. And it's set in the universe. You'll love this.
Yeah.
It's set in the universe of everyone wearing rollerblades.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would you expect from it? It's super funny. It's really funny. Now, about a third of the way through the game, I lost about an hour of progress, and it wasn't fun. However, when I got back, I went a little bit further, and I was at the middle management interview stage. And there's two options you can choose. So it's one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in a game. Do you continue on to middle management or get the free hat?
Free hat.
Free hat.
Free hat.
And so, of course, I got the free hat. However, not everything in life comes for free. So if you want the free hat, you have to drop down to the start of the game. Which at that point, I'd sunk about 3 hours into the game. And so I had 3 hours of time on the line. It's not exactly free.
But I know your time is worthless.
Oh, my time is so worthless. I don't even know. You really need to want the hat. You have to go through 5 different sort of doors to go through. The narrator constantly says, hey, you sure you want the hat? I've told you, you're going to go down to the start, right? Over and over and over, it's saying, only 10% of people went past this door.
But you do get a hat.
And so you drop down and you do get the hat. But not only do you get the hat, you get a song. A song about how stupid you were for getting the hat.
I just see this as a content win.
This is a content win. And tying in with the whole streamer game nature of it, after inevitably getting the hats, you work... I did say hats.
Spoiler.
There may or may not be a second hat. I won't say. After getting the hat, you get back to the hat crossroads, you go through the middle management area, and the middle management section is quite long, and you can fall one of the largest distances in the game. Keep in mind, we're only about a third to halfway through the game at this point, but
it's called middle management.
Exactly, and so it's bloated like it is in real life, and so it ties into the theme of the game, and so it's one of the longest sections, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you think of it that way. Yeah.
So you have completed the arduous climb.
I have completed the arduous climb.
How long do you say and I'm going to just call you an average gamer.
I'm an average
from
gamer,
what I've seen of yours.
Yeah.
So I mean, I didn't even bother playing, like, getting over it for very long or anything, because I'm just like, I get the idea, but I'm not an angry person, but I achieve that by avoiding things that will make me angry.
Yeah, I can get pretty angry in some games. Some of my friends will definitely agree with me with that.
But you still got to the end of this.
I got to the end mostly because of the hat. I saw the hat on my head, and I was like, well, I mean, I got the hat.
Now you must prove yourself.
Yeah. And at the end, there's a nice little bonus area for billionaires. So you get to behave like a billionaire. You go really, really high up. It is pretty much a pure vertical climb at that point. So that's a nice little bonus stage at the end. But yeah, throughout the game, especially after middle management, the stakes do increase. The difficulty gets progressively harder, as you'd expect. And it's quite replayable from a speedrunning perspective. Because there's harder paths for faster routes. So obviously, if you want to take a bit more of a risk, you can go faster. Now, the world record's currently at about 9 minutes. It took me about 9 hours to beat the game the first time, just as sort of some context there.
Well, that just means you've got a lot of gains you can make.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of easy gains.
Well, here's the thing. The game says you're a speedrunner at 2 hours. So once you cross that barrier, you're already a speedrunner. So 9 minutes is quite crazy.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier about sort of the broader context of this game.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
So the broader context of this game, in relation to sort of who helped develop it, so the Twitch name named Atrioc, quite a large community. So a few years ago, the community started making sea shanties for when he was playing Monkey Ball on stream. Nice and fun. And everyone was like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is, kind of cheerful. Then a few months later, he did a weekend-long stream beating Bloons Tower Defense 6, and the community made more than a dozen parody songs and heaps more original songs. And at this point, stuff started getting really suspiciously good. Like, there was real talent in the community. Just after that, the community made a mock labor union and a protest album, at which point it moved from like funny meme songs to like, why the hell are they so talented? And after that, they've officially released 3 more original albums with a bunch more on YouTube. They're at the point now where they can stand alone by themselves and they're extremely good. And naturally, when Get to Work came out, the community followed that instruction of getting to work very quickly. They churned out 30 songs in a week. Which resulted in songs like Icarus, which is played on Zed Games the last couple of weeks, and it's a fantastic song. And one song stands out, which we're about to play next, called To The Top. It was made for a build of the game only Atrioc had access to, so it's not in the public game, but it was played on stream, and everyone loved it, and a lot of the other Get To Work songs. And so now they're considered as part of the OST for the game, which is just really funny to me. So yeah,
I love this sort of because it reminds me of Blazeball when that was running, where Blazeball itself was not much of anything. I'm not saying that Get to Work's not anything, but I just mean like it is quite humble in what it is, but
100%.
What can build around it, it can just be enormous.
It will never have the influence of like a AAA game, and it never has the marketing funding behind it to make it that, but the small niche community that surrounds it what makes it really special. So yeah, if you're a fan of Fodian type games like Getting Over It or Only Up or even the Stanley Parable for the narrative elements, in a lot of ways Get to Work is those games combined, coupled with a storyline relatable for those working in the corporate dystopia, along with a unique spin on 3D platforming. It is available on Steam and Xbox for just under $20.
Huzzah!
So you're listening to Zed Games, is that it?
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Hello, you're listening to Zed Games.
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 Perfect. Thank you.
This is Zed Games. I am Paul, and right now it's time for me to get reviewy. It's another review. We did one before, and now this one we're doing too. Yeah. I was supposed to be like really nutty, but it was like ended up being like this mumbled thing between us. I actually really liked it. Let's start a band. Let's do it. Okay, I am going to talk about the slept on hit from last year because I'm still doing my catch up on things I missed last year style. And this is Arco, which is made by 3 developers, one Melbourne, one composer, I think, and then someone in Spain. I think it works. So Arco is a very unique game. It is based in sort of Mesoamerica, sort of like mid-lower South America. It's sort of a story of colonialism,
right? But
from the native people's point of view.
Okay, that's
but it's
cool.
still like a cowboy westerny style thing. So the game starts as a child, and then that's like a little vignette beginning showing you the systems of the game,
right?
And then it goes further. Cuts forward until you are an older man. Okay. So at the beginning, sort of Europeans coming over, it's sort of like a rumor. Oh. But then because you're doing a time jump to when you're an adult, it's been established there and you can see some shifts in the culture and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
It is a straightforward but brutal story. And... yes, it's a sort of thing where you go through a town and say hi to everyone, try to keep to yourself because you're a brooding fella, right. And then you come back the next day and everyone's been killed.
Oh dear. Oh no.
So yeah, it has a very interesting pixel art style. It's hard to draw a direct comparison, a little bit to a slightly slightly more low res Hyperlight Drifter, but in a more warmer just warmer colors,
right.
Not hypercolor.
Yep.
And it's really beautiful environments. Your character's quite chunky. You play a number of characters during the game, and sometimes you can have a companion with you.
Oh, that's nice.
And you walk around, sort of mostly static scenes, some side scrolling. And then you move between them with a world map. So it's a little bit almost in setup like an Oregon Trail-y thing.
Oh.
And I quite like the map because at first I thought it was just Mario, like, move to the next zone.
Yep.
But if you're going on a long trek, you will get stops all along the way.
That's cool.
So it's a real journey.
Yeah.
And those stops will have potentially combat encounters, potentially story, potentially both, things just to find, decisions to make, splits in the road. Sometimes you're making decisions that you have to choose one or the other, and you may not have all the information you want to know to make
you're
that.
not just like sort of, a walking simulator type thing. You have things to do.
No, not at all. It's not an RPG in that you're really crafting a character. You are just this, but you are this character making decisions.
Yes.
And those decisions also can bring you guilt. In fact, there's quite a lot of guilt in the game. And while we'll get into the combat a little bit more, part of that is during combat, certain things can happen to you. Primarily, little ghosts appear. And if they touch you during combat, that's not good because that's your guilt manifesting itself in a very literal way. So if you make bad decisions, which you are certain to make at least a couple, your guilt will go up.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite heavy. As I say, straightforward, revenge, heavy. And quite brutal at times.
And I'm assuming that guilt sort of influences, like, later down the track in the game, how you can play it?
Well, not sort of how you play it. It's just sort of, it makes you deal with the combat a bit differently, and it has story effects.
Right, okay.
And I'm not quite sure how much the splits affect the overall story. I still think it's primarily just a narrative that you then put your own flourishes in, which I'm always fine with. I don't expect every game to be some huge branching possibility space. But it would be interesting to replay and try to get all of that in, because it's a relatively lengthy game, sort of about 12 hours ish, I think it was. So what I haven't got to here, so walk around, map, and I say combat. So this is where the game has really made a unique name for itself. It is turn-based, real-time, bullet hell combat.
Oh wow!
So to break this down, you take actions as turns. You have a certain amount of movement you could do, or you can do an action.
Okay.
As the game progresses, you get experience, you can unlock more things, get more options. Blah-de-de-blah.
Yep.
Normal gaming stuff.
Yes.
So you put in your action, and then the game plays the next few seconds, and then you do your next action.
Yep.
You can see where enemies are going to move or what they're going to do. So it might say, oh, they're about to shoot, or they're reloading their gun, or something like that.
Yep.
If they say they're going to shoot, you don't know where they're going to shoot. So if you've multiple people, it could be on air. Oh. You can sort of see what they're going. But then a lot of enemies will shoot sort of sprays of bullets.
Yeah.
But because time goes in bullets and your arrow, which is shot by your arco, which is like a small bow that you use, hence the title of the game. So you might fire an arrow, but it actually is going to take 1 or 2 turns before it gets them.
Ooh, that's
so cool. They could have moved by then.
Yeah.
But also, you'll get a spray of bullets, and you go, they're all going that way. And since they're out, I can see the trajectories now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut through the bullets this way, and as they're reloading, do that. And here's where the guilt ghosts also come, not just as like an extra pressure, because the ghosts can move in the planning phase where the game's frozen. They don't stop moving. So you can't just sit there and take all the time. But the actual truth of kind of why I think they're there is to make you not play this game like a super slow tactical game. It's to keep you actually moving, making those decisions really quickly. It's like, if I stop, I'm going to refresh my magi, just your ability points.
Yep.
It's like, yep. If I do that, okay, go here, rest behind the rock while he reloads, jump out, take an arrow, jump back behind, do this. So you end up doing like weird dances. You can move quite quickly in it, despite the fact it's a turn-based game.
Yeah, that is odd.
And there's it's not a grid or anything. It's fully opening. And also the encounters are relatively short. It might be a few rounds of enemies that come through. But as I say, you can get the pace up once you're used to it.
Yeah.
And really quick restarts. Because you will do things that just like...
I like that.
Murder you really quickly. Yeah. It is really unique. There is no other game I've played like it. There's like frozen synapse and everything, things that are similar in like tacticals, but nothing with this kind of mood and speed and just and especially the bullet hell elements when that comes in. Like shoot an explosive thing that's like a round of things. You go, I've got enough to like I've got a roll that can like go through a bullet, so I'm going to use that. But then I've used all my things. I have to wait and. Lots of small decisions to make really quickly, really satisfying. Yeah. I found it a game where I just, I say you get experience, get more things. So you go, I'll fight everything. Healing items aren't necessarily that easy to come by all the time. So it's like, should I fight everything, get all the XP? Or should I be... I love all the decisions in this game, all the small things, all the little bits of story. Like I discovered a lamb at some point. It's like, do you just want to eat it? And I'm like, I don't know. I've got enough food at the moment. And then like 2 towns later, not even close, someone's like, yo, you seen our lamb? Like,
no,
I have.
No.
Hey, I didn't eat it. It was
good.
fine.
Okay, good. Never mind.
Yeah.
Roasted.
That's just that would be a very minor thing to be guilty about in this game.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Arco. It's and whilst everything I've been seeing recently is some like indie PC game, this is also on Switch. So yes, Steam, Epic as well, I believe, and Switch you can play it on. And it's a really good game. There is a demo available. Check it out, because unfortunately, it sold super bad, to the extent that it was actually news how badly it sold. And the developer's comment was, basically, I should have made a roguelike instead of trying something new and innovative. So it doesn't mean you have to go give them money. Give them a look, and if you like it, give them some money.
I especially like when you mentioned the quick restarts, experimenting. I love experimenting, just different ways I can complete like the same puzzle in a way. And that sounds really cool.
So that was Arco. This is Zed Games. I am Paul, and joining me is my wonderful, beautiful, passionate friend Braden.
Hello.
Hi, and we're close to wrapping up tonight, but we've got a little bit of time.
We love
a little bit of time. So
time.
I was looking around. Well, I mean, first up, is there anything else you've been playing at the moment?
Other than a lot of games in my catalog, I can't lie. I have been addicted to Balatro. I know.
Yeah, you and
me and 6 million other people.
Actually, I think there was a Balatro like they crossed a threshold sales just the other day. I wonder what it was at.
Balatro is big.
Balatro has 3.5 million.
3.5
for a one-person card game.
That is incredible.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's why it
I mean, it's a damn good game.
It is. It's very good. Someone on the crew was asking for what to play on some long air flights coming up. I said, well, Balatro, Vampire Survivors. And then, because I was in the vampire mood, I'm like, if you didn't play the DS Castlevania games, there's the new collection on, I think it's called Dominus. It's like, yep, those are all great games.
Yeah.
That'll fill up a flight, but really you just need either Vampire Survivors or Balatro. That'll fill your flight up.
Or any roguelite or like, really.
Well, it has to catch you, though. It took me ages to get into roguelikes.
Yeah. Balatro and Noida were pretty much the only 2 roguelites I've sort of ever played.
I liked Rogue Legacy, and then I got into Binding of Isaac. But even then, still, it was very hard for me to get into them.
I'm meaning to play.
It is very hit or miss for me, and it's a very saturated genre. But when it works,
it hits.
It's really good. Yeah. Yes, I was also looking through the IGF award nominees, because as I was mentioning earlier, IGF is like the only awards I actually care about. So that's Independent Game Festival. And the big thing there is how they actually vote on them. So if you are someone that is voting in the awards, you are sent a random selection of games.
Okay, that's cool.
And you are allowed to vote for any games, but you cannot play any other games until you have submitted feedback on the games you've been given. So anything can suddenly come up. So even if it's like the hottest game of the year is in that list, only a few people get that allocated, and everyone else still has to play a bunch of other games first before they're allowed to jump on it too.
Sounds like a really great way to eliminate bias. Especially when it comes to independent stuff, because you want to be able to like actually give everyone a fair shot, and the only way to do that is randomize.
The most because the awards haven't happened yet. This was just the nominees. The most nominated game is a game called Consume Me, which is a game I had never heard of before these awards. It's like a cooking mini game, puzzle game, narrative thing.
Wow,
looks really interesting, and it's got a lot of awards. It's not out yet, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh, there's lots of games that are in the awards that are not out, but they're submitted for the jury.
Oh.
So yeah. It's a good way to get those things out. I mean, previous like Seamus McNally, that's like the big award thing with things like Outer Wilds. The original student demo won that.
Yep.
Which really is probably how it got picked up. If it hadn't got that, it wouldn't have been there.
That's incredible.
It's it's always just good, and especially because we like to find music. I always go and look at the sound. Doesn't necessarily mean music, but the sound design awards, and even the student awards, because student games could be anything.
Yeah.
Yes, so I would recommend checking out those as they come. And then I think it is March that the actual awards happen. March 19th.
19th of March.
So check that out. And then, I think last year's winner was Lowdown at... I bet if... Look, I'm not even going to search the internet. What I'm going to do is go to my Steam library.
Knowing you, you'll have it.
Because I own everything.
You do. Yeah.
Betrayal at Club Low, which is some... I bet most of you, it is a really cool immersive sim. It's wild. There's luck with pizzas and dice rolls, and oh my god,
luck with pizzas has me hooked. I might play it.
Betrayal at Club Low, not a big hitter, but my god, it is worth looking at. It's a wild game. Okay, that brings us to the end of the show. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.